Hello, in this video we're looking at issue 16 of Warhammer 4000 Imperium magazine, adding the extra intercessors to our games and learning how to make use of large units. Hello, I'm Mike and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
I'm bringing you issue 16 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine today, and in this issue we've got a set of 5 Assault Intercessors for the Space Marines. This is actually the same sprue as the one we got in a previous issue, and as always, if you want to see them in action, there'll be a timecode in the description to take you to this issue's battle report, or you can use the chapter bars instead. Having a quick look through the issue now. First up we have a battle record for this squad of Assault Intercessors. It goes over some more of their equipment, webbing, their power armour and their grenades. It mentions crack grenades on here, which are used against harder targets. And then their battle records, you can give them all names and specialities on the next page. There is some background on Necron ranged weapons. So we have the Gauss weapons that the warriors have. They also make use of Tesla weapons, whose shots will chain between enemy targets. A synaptic disintegrator, carried by death marks, which destroy the target's neural pathways rather than just destroying their body. There's also various particle weapons, which are usually mounted on vehicles, but sometimes smaller Necron units. And then on the next page we can see even more. We have an optic Doomstalker there with its Doomsday weapon, a Locust Heavy Destroyer with its Enmitic weapon, and a Necron Flyer and a Monolith down there. There's a background on the Chaos Space Marines, so we've learned about Chaos Demons and the Chaos Gods, but these are Space Marines who have fallen to Chaos. They worship the Chaos Gods in exchange for dark boons and powers. Chaos Space Marines have the ultimate goal of becoming demon princes, so they become terrifyingly powerful immortal beings, but most of them will succumb to insanity and turn into Chaos Spawn. The Chaos Space Marines came into existence during the event called the Horus Heresy, which happens 10,000 years in the past, where 9 of the Emperor's Primarchs fell to Chaos, led by the Primarch Horus, who, though they were eventually defeated, although many of those Primarchs became demon Primarchs and still exist somewhere in the warp. Then we have the build guide for the Assault Intercessors. This is actually pretty much the same as the previous one. The one difference is we're making this version of the Sergeant instead with the bolt pistol and the helmet on. Otherwise the other 4 are exactly the same. They're all just pushed together, don't need any glue. And then the painting guide is just bringing them up to the same standard as the other Marines. So you've got the blue armour, silver mechanical parts, and a lot of gold trim. And then we have the finished ones there. And with that over, we can get into our game.
So in a moment we'll be on to our game, but first we've got some new rules here. Now that we have more Assault Intercessors, we're learning the rules for coherency with units that are larger than 5 models. We know how coherency works for small units, but with larger units there are a couple of extra restrictions. If a unit has 6 or more models, then each model must be within 2 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of 2 other models in the unit. So you just have to keep them a bit more tightly bunched, you can't spread them out quite as much. But otherwise, we've just got a rules reference section. This part was about the movement phase and reinforcements, which we've seen before. And on the next page, shooting phase, attack sequence and weapon types, that's all the same, and the wound roll table at the bottom. Again, for the charge phase, that's the same as we've seen before. Now, there's another new thing in the fight phase, the central bullet point there. When attacking with a unit, to attack a model must either be within engagement range, i.e. 1 inch, or it can also be within half an inch of another model in its unit that is within half an inch of the target unit. So it allows people in ranks behind the first to fight, and that's the sort of thing that will come up now we have larger units, because it might be hard to get all the models in. But otherwise, this is all the same. So then we're on to our game, Destroy the Warden. The background here is that the Necron Royal Warden has managed to organise the Necron legions of Megaria, but a squad of Space Marine Assault Intercessors has found the Royal Warden and resolved to try and destroy him to attempt to disrupt the Necron forces. So we have the setup for the game. We have the large battle mat with the ammunition crates and Promethean barrels in a defined location, but like the previous game, the large Minotaurium container can go in one of 3 locations, and we roll off for that before the beginning of the game. The Necron side has 10 Necron warriors as a single squad, starting on point B, but they have to be deployed in coherency, and then the Royal Warden starts on point A. Whereas the Space Marines have a squad of 8 Assault Intercessors, so that's the 5 that we got with this issue, plus the 3 from issue 3, to form a larger squad of 8. And then we just have our playthrough example, and actually here they've just said move and shoot and charge and fight, and refer you back to the previous pages for the rules for those, simplifying this description a little bit. The same, the Necrons get a turn, and then the Space Marines. And again, and there's actually a little bit of description of how the within half an inch of a friend who's within half an inch works here as well with the picture. And then to win the game, the Space Marine player wins if the Royal Warden is destroyed before the end of the Necron player's third turn. Otherwise the Necrons win. So we'll get all that set up and get straight into the game. So here's our board. We rolled off for the location of the container and it ended up in the top left, like it is in the example. You can see the Space Marines have deployed incoherency for their larger units, so every model's within 2 inches of 2 models in the unit. And the same for the 10 model unit of Necron Warriors. They're quite spread out, so they can get close to the Royal Warden, who's up in the top left. But the Space Marines get to go first in this game, so we'll be on to Space Marines turn 1.
So, in movement phase, all the Assault Intercessors are just moved up normally, and then in the shooting phase we're going to shoot at the Necron Warriors. Maybe 1 or 2 of them could actually see the Royal Warden, but it's probably not worth shooting at him yet. So we have 8 heavy bolt pistol shots at the Necrons, hitting on 3s, getting 6, and wounding on 4s, getting 5.
AP -1, so 5 plus armor saves for Necron Warriors. Pass 2, fail 3, so 3 Necron Warriors die. So this one on the end is going to die over here, as is this one on this end. But now I have to remove this one with the Gauss Reaper, because if I don't, he won't be within 2 inches of 2 other models, and so that will break unit coherency, so I'm not allowed to do that. But that unit now is still in coherency, and it is 7 models, so it does still have to obey those rules. But that's going to be the end of Space Marine turn 1, because they can't charge, so we're on to Necrons turn 1. In my movement phase, the Necrons have moved forward and condensed a little bit to try and avoid having to get rid of models that I didn't want to get rid of next time, and form a wall across the front here to protect the Royal Warden like this, so hopefully the Space Marines won't be able to charge him in their next turn. And the Royal Warden himself has moved up so he gets within 15 inches of the Assault Intercessors, and all of the Necron Warriors with Gauss Reapers are also in range. So we'll be on to the shooting phase, and we'll start with the Royal Warden, because he does 2 damage, so he'll kill Intercessors outright. So he has 4 shots because he's within half range, hitting on 3s, getting 2, and wounding on 3s, getting 1 with an AP of -2.
5 plus save. Failed, so that's a dead Assault Intercessor. And I'll take away this one.
And then we've got the Necron Warriors shooting. I'll start with the Gauss Reapers at the front. They're all in range, they have 2 shots each, so there's going to be 8 shots, hitting on 3s, getting 4, and wounding on 3s because they're strength 5. Well, getting 4 at least.
5 plus saves again. Made 2, so that's only 1 dead Assault Intercessor.
None of the Gauss Flayers are within 12 inches to get their double shots, so we've just got 1 shot each from these, hitting on 3s, getting 3, wounding on 4s because they're strength 4, getting 2 with an AP -1.
4 plus saves. Made 1, failed 1, so it's a total of 3 damage. So I will kill this one, and then I'll put a wound on this one.
That'll be end of Necron's turn 1 because I'm not going to declare a charge. So we're on to Space Marines turn 2.
So the Assault Intercessors are just going to move up 6 inches normally, and then they're going to fire their pistols at the Necron Warriors, because the Royal Warden is now in range for lookouts there, so they can't shoot him. 6 pistol shots hitting on 3s, only getting 2, wounding on 4s, not getting anything. Then the Assault Intercessors will declare a charge. We're only going to charge the Necron Warriors. It'll be a 4. They get a 5, I think that's going to be enough. So the Assault Intercessors are going to finish their charge like that in order to get close to the Royal Warden, and they get to fight first since they charge, so I'm going to do some piling in. So the Assault Intercessors are piled in. This one that was on the end had enough movement to get over the box, and this one can stand on top and fight. So the Assault Intercessors have 19 attacks between them, hitting on 3s. Well, that's 3 attacks each, plus the extra one that the Sergeant has. 16 hits, wounding on 4s. So that's 10 wounds.
10 5 plus armor saves, that's -1 AP. I have made 4, so that means 6 Necrons are dead, so there's 1 left. So obviously we're going to lose all these Necrons over here. Oh dear. And we'll keep that one in the middle there alive, the reason being that the Space Marines get to consolidate, and if he's the closest model, I don't think they can consolidate in such a way that it will bring the Royal Warden into melee, which I'd rather not have, because he would be better off shooting.
So the only consolidation is that this Assault Intercessor moved through that gap, and then we're going to surround the Necron so he can't escape.
Yeah, so I've actually been outfoxed here because the Necron won't die, and so I'm going to be stuck in melee and can't shoot them anyway. But the Necron does get to make his 1 attack back. So he has 1 attack, hitting on a 3, or he hit, the wounds on a 4. No, he didn't. And that'll be end of Space Marines turn 2, on to Necron's turn 2. So yeah, in my turn, that Necron cannot fall back because he's stuck in the midst of those Intercessors, so I won't be able to shoot them in the shooting phase, because you can't shoot enemies that are in engagement range of your units. So with that in mind, the Royal Warden actually advanced, and I rolled it off camera just because I wanted a couple of extra inches to get him right into the corner. The hope being that it might make the Space Marines charge a tiny fraction longer. But then we're on to the combat phase, where the Necron Warrior has to survive another 19 attacks.
So we have 19 attacks with chainsaws hitting on 3s. 12 hits. Wounding on 4s. 5.
He needs to make all these 5+ saves to live. No. So warrior is removed, and Space Marines get to consolidate, and the closest model is the only one left.
Right, well, we're just going to consolidate 3 inches towards the Royal Warden.
But that's the end of Necron's turn 2. On to Space Marines turn 3.
Right, and the movement phase is just going to move 6 inches directly towards the Royal Warden and be just over an inch away. And the shooting phase will fire our pistols at him first. 6 pistol shots hitting on 3s, getting 2. Wounding on 5s, didn't get anything. Then we're going to charge. A 7 is more than a 1. And so they can all get in effectively. These 3 in front are all within an inch, and then these 3 at the back are all within half an inch of someone who is within half an inch, so they can all attack. 19 attacks hitting on 3s. 6, 7, 8, 9. Wounding on 5s, getting 4.
So 4+ armour saves, because he has a 3+ base. Failed 2, get that one in the box. Failed 3, so he's down to 1 wound remaining. But he gets to hit back, 3 attacks hitting on 3s. Getting 2, and winning on 3s because he's strength 5. Oh, never mind. So that's the end of Space Marine's turn 3. We're on to Necron's turn 3, where the Royal Warden cannot escape, but he does go back up to 2 wounds. He can't shoot, and then we're straight on to the combat phase, where then Space Marines get to attack first.
And 19 attacks hitting on 3s. See if we can do better. That's 11 hits this time. Wounding on 5s. Oh, getting 3.
So 3 4+ saves. Oh, I failed 2. That's what needed to happen for the Space Marines to kill him. So with 2 wounds left, the Royal Warden is killed, and since that is before the end of Necron's turn 3, the Space Marines will win that game. So that's a Space Marine victory. As usual, we'll do a best of 3 for this scenario, so we'll set it up again and give the Necrons another chance. So we set up again, and this time the container ended up in the top right-hand side of the board over there. Space Marines are set up basically the same, but I condensed my Necron Warriors a little bit to try and avoid the issue I had last game. But the Space Marines get to go first again. So we're on to Space Marines turn 1.
So the Assault Intercessors are all in range of the Necron Warriors, so we're going to shoot at them instead. Could take some pot shots at the Royal Warden, but probably not worth chipping the old wound off, because it'll just regenerate them. So 8 pistol shots hitting on 3s, getting 5. And wounding on 4s, getting 3 again.
3 5+ saves. Made 1, so we lose 2 this time. And this time I can safely lose these 2 flayers on the back, and everybody's still within 2 inches of 2 other guys. So that's the end of Space Marines turn 1, so on to Necron's turn 1. So this time what I've done is moved everybody to the edge of the board, because hopefully, although it means I'm not going to have much shooting, it means they'll have a much longer charge to make, and if they fail it, it's possible they won't have enough time to actually complete the mission. So we're going to go for a different tactic. But then in the shooting phase, the Royal Warden will shoot first. He's not within 15 inches this time. So he only gets 2 shots hitting on 3s. They both hit. Wounding on 3s. 1 wound.
5+ save. Made it.
And the Gauss Reapers aren't in range, so we've just got 3 Gauss Flayer shots hitting on 3s. Getting 1. Wounds on a 4. It does not. But that'll be the end of Necron's turn 1. On the Space Marines turn 2.
So Assault Intercessors are just going to move up normally again, because we all tried to charge, even though it's going to be quite a difficult one. And do some more pistol shots to the Necron Warriors. 8 shots hitting on 3s. Getting 5 once again. And wounding on 4s. Getting 2.
2 5+ saves. Oh, made both the double 6.
And in the charge phase, the Assault Intercessors will charge. They'll only charge the Necron Warriors. Going to need a fairly decent roll, something like a 10. Ooh, an 8 isn't enough.
My tactic might be working as we head into Necron's turn 2. So in my turn, what I'm going to do is move the Necron Warriors up in the hope that they will charge the Intercessors, and enough of them will be alive that they won't have enough time to get to the Royal Warden at the end of the game. And the Royal Warden has moved across to the middle just to try and, if I fail my charge, hopefully keep him safe. And then we'll be shooting, so we'll do the Royal Warden first. He has 4 shots hitting on 3s. Getting 3. And winning on 3s. Getting 2.
5+ saves. Fail both. 2 dead Assault Intercessors. Take away this one. And this one.
Then the Warriors will shoot at them as well. We'll do the Reapers first, getting 10 shots, hitting on 3s. 5 hits. Wounding on 3s. 3 wounds.
3 5+ saves. Failed all of them, so that's 3 damage so far.
And 6 shots with Gauss Flayers hitting on 3s. 5. And winning on 4s, getting 3.
3 4+ saves. Only made 1, so that's 5 damage. That's 2 more dead Assault Intercessors. So I'll take away this one. Now there's only 5 members of the unit, so only needs to be in coherency of one of their friends. So I'll take away this one and put a wound on the guy at the back.
And then in the charge phase, the Necron Warriors will declare a charge to try and bog them down. So they need to make a 5. They did with a 6. They finish their charge like that. So I don't expect to win this fight, but those Space Marines hopefully won't kill enough of them this turn. That means in their next turn they will be still stuck in combat and not be able to charge the Royal Warden. But then the Necron Warriors charged, so I get to pick them and they will pile in. And they'll do that to block off the Space Marines, and then they're all either within an inch or within half an inch of a friend who's within half an inch. So they'll have 8 attacks, hitting on 3s, 5, and winning on 4s. That's 3 wounds with no AP.
3 plus saves made all. There's one Assault Intercessor at the back, it's just going to pile in directly towards the Necrons. 13 attacks, hitting on 3s. 7 hits winning on 4s, getting 2.
So 2 5 plus saves, failed both, so 2 now warriors do die. It doesn't really matter at this point, we'll take away this one on this end, and this one on this end. But that will actually be a Necron victory because the Space Marines don't have enough pistol shots to kill the Necrons. If they fall back in their movement phase, they won't be able to charge, obviously. So it's a victory for the Necrons, so we'll have to play a decider to see who wins. Then we reset the board for the decider and put the container down in the bottom space this time, because it really doesn't matter that much. And then we'll be on the Space Marines turn 1 again.
So I'm going to do something slightly different. In this turn, the Assault Marines are going to advance. And they get to advance an extra 2, and that's better than nothing, I suppose. Yeah, so we've moved up 8 inches, and that'll be it for my turn.
Yep, so on to Necron's turn 1. And I've done much the same as I did last turn, but this time, because the Space Marines are a bit closer, I couldn't resist risking getting the Royal Warden close enough to shoot 4 times. So he's a little bit further forward than he was last game. But then in the shooting phase, he will shoot. So he does have 4 shots with his rapid fire weapon, hitting on 3s, hitting 3, winning on 3s, 2.
5 plus saves. Fail both. 2 dared Assault Intercessors. We'll take away those 2.
And then we've got 5 shots with Gauss Flayers, hitting on 3s, winning 5, winning on 4s, winning 1.
4 plus save. Made it.
So that's the end of Necron's turn 1. On to Space Marines turn 2.
Assault Intercessors are going to move up normally. Then the shooting phase are actually going to shoot the Royal Warden because he's actually going to be the closest target. Even though he's got friends near him, he's closer.
Yep, I think to every single Assault Intercessor.
6 pistol shots hitting on 3s, getting 5. Wounding on 5s. Oh, good roll. Well, we got 3.
So 3 4 plus saves. And failed 2. He's actually down to 2 wounds, so maybe not worth the risk.
And then the Assault Intercessors are going to declare a charge. They'll charge both units, probably because they'll have to. It's not going to be hard to get in range of both. So, need a decent roll. Going to need at least an 8. An 8 is the bare minimum. So the Assault Intercessors will finish their charge like that. The Sergeant gets within an inch of both the Royal Warden and the Warriors. And then they get to go first because they charge and they can pile in. Everyone's piling in towards the Royal Warden except maybe this guy who...
He was closer to the Warrior, I think.
Yeah, so he's going to tie up the Warriors a little bit more. But he's still within half an inch of the Sergeant who's within half an inch of the Royal Warden. So they can all attack the Royal Warden. So we have 19 attacks hitting on 3s. Well, there's quite a few misses. 10 hits. Wounding on 5s. Oof, getting 5 though.
5 4 plus saves. He failed 2, which is exactly how many wounds he has left. Yep, so the Royal Warden was killed, so actually I think my little risk did not pay off at all. And, there's no point doing the Necron Warriors return attacks because the Space Marines have won the game, and the best of 3. So yeah, a Space Marine victory for this game, so we'll recap that for you now. So that was the game for issue 16 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine. How do you think those went?
Better than I thought they would. I was quite surprised to win the best of 3 actually. Probably lucky in the 3rd game to make that charge and get 2 wounds with pistol shots, but again the first game went fairly well as well, even though it went down to the final turn. I more expected it to be the Assault Intercessors would run up the board and get cut to ribbons by the Royal Warden and the Gauss Reapers.
Well, I suppose the fact is when you have 8 of them, there are still enough left to finish the job.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think moving forward in the first game, although it did get more weapons into range, did essentially meant you could charge them, and then in melee you had no real trouble finishing them off, which then allowed you to obviously charge the Royal Warden.
Yeah, I think if the Assault Intercessors can successfully charge in the second turn, they're probably okay, unless the Royal Warden's really far away. And actually, yeah, in the first game, killing all but 1 warrior so he could surround it was probably the optimal outcome, because then you couldn't shoot at me, and then I could just hack the warrior down.
And actually, you only just had enough attacks to kill the Royal Warden at the end, so losing another Intercessor or 2 would have been a problem. Yeah, and in the second game I got wise to that and just stay back. And the fact that I didn't have as much shooting didn't really matter, because all that mattered was that you got to the Royal Warden, which you didn't.
3 turn limit is very hard, especially since 1 turn is spent moving, so it's really more 2 or only 1 turn if you're unlucky.
Yeah, and being able to charge you with the Necron Warriors, it was enough to prevent you from basically getting to the Royal Warden at all. If I'd failed the charge, I suppose you could have gone round them possibly with a long charge roll, but
I think there are only 4 of them left, so it probably wouldn't have been enough.
And in the third game, I mean, yes, I got a bit greedy and wanted to shoot more with the Royal Warden, but if you'd got a better advance roll, you wouldn't have had such a long charge. So yeah, advancing in the first turn, foregoing shooting, probably is the best strategy to counter anything the Necrons can do. But it's perhaps one of those games that's close enough that it might go down to how many Necron Warriors you kill.
And I think it does also depend on if the container's in the top left at point A, probably works in the Necrons' favours, because it's just slightly harder to get into contact with the Royal Warden. The Assault Intercessors will have to either spend time moving around it or over it.
Yeah, and actually with the box there, I did wonder whether hiding him in the corner up by point A would be a good tactic, because then you've got to do 2 full rounds of advancing probably to get a decent charge roll, and then hopefully the shooting would whittle you down enough you wouldn't have enough attacks left to kill him, but in the second games it didn't matter. And yeah, and with the container on either of the other 2 spaces, it's kind of irrelevant, because the Space Marines get to move first, so it never really comes into the game.
Yeah, and also learning about the rules for large units and the rule that allows units in melee to fight as long as they're near their friends. The coherency rule, I think, is basically just there to stop you chaining a single huge unit across the entire board and making your opponent's life a misery. And the ability to fight within half an inch of a member of your unit that's within half an inch of the enemy certainly makes using big melee units possible. It can also make things like heroic interventions slightly more dangerous, because you might end up getting into range of a special weapon that way. So you need to be a little bit more careful with that.
Yeah, it just means that a big unit can fight with more than, say, 5 models, the only ones who could get into range normally.
I guess it's still to represent the swirling melee, like people aren't just standing and trading blows, actually sort of moving and fighting with each other. It probably depends on what the unit actually is, whether you want large units or small units. For Space Marines, perhaps you're better off using small units, just because they're more flexible, whereas, say, for Necron Warriors, you just want a big block of them to soak up damage. Surely you can debate that. It also depends how you're building your army. Sometimes units have a limited number of special weapons based on how many are in the units. You might want the larger unit to get more special weapons. And I think the way they've set up the Marines, they're probably intending you to have 2 units of 5 Assault Intercessors as well.
Yeah, because they tell you to build a second sergeant. Probably in future games we will see 2 units of 5 each with their own sergeant.
Although you could quite easily make a unit of 10, since you've got 3 spare regular guys. As I said, it is the same sprue as the other one, so unfortunately you do end up with 4 sets of identical twins with the other Assault Intercessors, but they still look pretty good, I think. And if you're running them as separate units, that doesn't really matter too much.
No, it's unlikely to be confusing most of the time. And at least they're decent posers as well, they're not static, so they still look good. Kind of disappointing that you can't have a plasma pistol and a helmet on your sergeant. Well, you can, but it will take a little bit of conversion work, because you have to cover up the gap on his waist, or he'll have an extra chainsword, which would be a little bit odd. It's not too difficult a thing to achieve if you want to take on the modelling challenge, but it's just one of the downsides of these monopose models is that sometimes they are a bit restricted in what you can actually do with them. But at the end of the day, I don't think having a plasma pistol on an Assault Intercessor sergeant's going to change the outcome of too many games for you. But I think that's probably it for this episode and this issue. So if you enjoyed this content, then please leave a like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. If you've played this game, let us know how you got on. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.